I am Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years, and today I have my special guest. She's Amazon best-selling author and the author of the book Mission Ready, no other than Miss Brenda Neckvatal.
Thank you so much for having me on, Daniel. I appreciate it.
Welcome to Book 101, Miss Brenda. Can you please introduce more about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I am a human resource professional. I focus more now on the human results aspect of what I do. So I work with leaders to help them time collapse and reduce the amount of drama, increase the amount of proficiency and output to help build high performing teams in the workplace.
Miss Brenda Neckvatal, thank you so much for sharing your talents to the world. So, what core leadership principles from military operation can be directly applied to building effective business teams?
So the gentleman that wrote the book with me, I have the back half of the book, and the gentleman that wrote the front half of the book, his name is William Branum. He's a retired Navy SEAL, and we came together to put this project on. So Will focuses in on a couple of key aspects of the book as it pertains to his prior military experience. So, for instance, he talks about shoot, move, communicate. And that is a very effective way to convey next steps and expectations to the team. So the way he kind of looks at it is that you execute, you take a step, so shoot, right? So that means
Yes.
that you're laying rounds downrange. That means that you have now taken on a strategic component of what it is that you want to do in business. Move is that you guys are actually current in motion. You're driving sales. You're, producing lead generation, things like that. And then communicate means that once you start seeing the results, now you have to communicate what is going to happen next, what your intent is after that. So that's one of many aspects that he actually puts into play in the book.
So, Miss Brenda, what are the most critical elements necessary for creating mission ready teams in both military and business environments?
Well, I will speak on the business environment since I am not prior military. I will allow Will to do that at another time. But
Yes.
when you're looking at those critical components, a lot of the things that you really want to put into place is first and foremost is making sure that you really are conveying your expectations within the workforce, right? Be very, very clear on what it is that you expect, when you expect to do it, and then trust your team to actually go out and execute that. And if something is going sideways or you're not getting the desired result, there's nothing wrong with grabbing the team, taking a knee, and reevaluating what needs to happen. Where's the group falling up short? What can we do to make something better? What did we miss? And actually have those critical conversations with people.
Certainly, totally agree, and very well said, Miss Brenda. Very well said, beautifully articulated. So, in what ways does trust building differ from between military teams and corporate teams?
Well, in military teams, there's one aspect that really isn't different. Anytime you have a group of people that experiences a challenge and they come out a winner, despite how difficult the challenge is, despite how hard the project is, that tends to build a bond amongst everybody. And it allows for cohesion to take place within the team, relativity, People get an opportunity to really understand how others operate when they are under stress or when they are against the odds. There's also a lot of camaraderie that comes with that as well, especially afterwards. And when people tend to go through something pretty substantial and pretty difficult, like there is a unifying factor that happens, believe it or not, with humor.
True.
So people will tend to, like, if they've gone through something really difficult, like their humor tends to connect, right? Because
Totally.
everybody understands what just happened. So when you don't have those experiences, what happens is that the team tends to be relatively segmented. They do not come together quite in the same manner. But when everybody's going through something difficult together, something that is complicated, something is complex, there's a unifying factor to that.
Totally agree, Ms. Brenda. So, what role does effective communication play in maintaining mission readiness?
Well, first off, I think you need to be very clear on what it is that you want to communicate. And then once you start communicating, you have to understand that people don't process information the same way. So when you're communicating, you always want to make sure that you are communicating through your principles and not your preferences. Because if you're not communicating through a principle, something that is a standard, something that is based off of some sort of core value, then preferences tend to confuse people because they don't know which one you're going to pick from day to day. So when you're leading through principles, I'm going to tell you right now, like good employees will be loyal to your principles and not your preferences. And so, that's kind of one of those things where core values really are evidence that what we say truly matters as a foundation. And for what our actions are, it helps to align with our beliefs. So it's proof of what you value. It's not just what you profess, right? So that leads to when you're leading through those principles and you're leading through those values, trust, it's going to start building trust. And trust is one of those things that, trust grows like raindrops in a bucket. It takes a while to build it.
True.
And if you don't have trust, and if they can't trust that where you're coming from is a place where everybody's aligned, again, there's a lot of things that actually start pulling a team apart rather than pulling it together. And that is certainly one of those things that is a core, key, fundamental aspect of leadership, that if you are not solid, you cannot align people. And that is the cream of the crop right there. If you don't do it, you're going to run into a lot of problems.
Certainly. Again, Miss Brenda, very well said.
Thank you.
Very well said. So what specific methods can leader use to foster team cohesion and unity similar to military units?
So again, I'm going to talk from the business side of thing. Going back to the question, to pull cohesion together is that you have to align everybody. So it starts with you. It starts with you understanding what your core principles and core values are. And then once you communicate that, once you convey that, it's not just a sign on the wall. It's not just paint on the wall, letters, right, of what your core values. It's how are you using them to measure up everything that you do. So one of my favorite mentors of all time, his number one core value is never let good be the robber of great. And so everything that they do, and he influences people on, he will challenge them to look and say, is this the best you can do, or can you level up 1 more %, right? When I was with CarMax many years ago, this is when I first started learning about it. I was like 25 years ago. And our number one core value is do what's in the best interest of the customer. I don't know if it's changed since then, but that's what it was when I was there. So when we were faced with an issue internally, externally, in our field offices or even in our corporate office, we would always ask this one question: if we're going to do this for this customer or to this customer, are we taking that action is the best interest of the customer? In other words, if we're going to put this service in place, is this in fact the best, the best in doing this in the best interest of the customer? If we up our prices here, are we doing this? Are we, whatever we're doing, is this for the best interest of the customer? So we would always challenge that. And that's how you measure up your core values to your day-to-day process. So if somebody's putting a core value in place of like integrity, and a hard decision needs to be made, or even a simple one, the question is, are we in integrity with this based off of how we've defined it? If we're not in integrity of it, then we need to take a step back and reevaluate what it is we're about ready to do. And when you teach your team to think like that, you are going to get some serious power hitters coming out of that group.
Certainly. Reevaluate people. So, how important is adaptability and achieving sustained high performance in a volatile environment?
Oh, it's absolutely critical. If you're in a volatile environment, and volatile is subjective, right? Yeah. If you're talking about volatile environment in the marketplace, like today is a really good example. The Dow Jones dropped over 600 points, right?
Yes.
So what does that look like? That's a form of volatility. You can also have volatility amongst the interpersonal workings of your team. So if you are unable, if you have people that are so rigid and they can't go with the times, even though the times may be really difficult, like, again, we'll talk about, the Dow. Look at what's going on in the financial world. There's a lot of people out there that are going to sleep super stressed tonight. And conversely, there's a lot of people that play the market in a completely different way, that they're going to bed really, really, really happy. Probably not as many as the stressed, right?
Yes.
But if the stressed people are going to go to bed tonight, they're going to go to bed stressed. And if they wake up stressed and continue into their day without having figured out how to pivot, how to renegotiate, how to work through the problem, or even how to stay resilient through it, that rigidity is what's going to kill your company.
Certainly. So, how does accountability differ between military operations and business management, and how can business benefit from adopting military accountability practices?
Well, in general, the military here in the United States, it's a very autocratic system, which means that there is a hierarchy involved. And if the boss says go, the boss says go, right? If the captain or the admiral or whatever, and there's no wiggle room. Okay, unless you have the ear of that particular leader where you could say sir or ma'am, I think there's an alternate way of doing this, and they're willing to listen to what you have to say. Otherwise, it's a direct order, and if you don't follow it, bad days are coming, right? So in naval special warfare, they operate very differently. So in naval special warfare and most special operations forces, they operate collaboratively in an autocratic environment. So anybody in the SEAL teams that is out on an op, if any person on that op can actually lead that op. So if whoever's leading it should, get disconnected from communications, should unfortunately get wounded or even get taken out, any person in that group can take that lead and keep moving forward. Now, in business, autocratic behavior is what leaders will that's not good, right?
Yes.
If you're taking on the mindset of a general or a colonel or a captain in a business, and it is you do what I say or bad things are coming, that leader's going to have a bad day. Why? Because those people are going to stay around and tolerate that, right? So autocratic environments don't work in business, and yet we still have some leaders that operate that way. Now, I'm not saying it's good, I'm not saying it's bad. It may or may not be a winning formula for them, right? So in business, it's a combination. It's a combination of collaborative. It's a combination of autocratic. It's a combination of servant. There's several different types of leadership styles that can be applied. And so the best businesses understand that, and they figure out how to remain fluid using various tactics and tools. There are days where it's like, listen, I just need you to get out and do what needs to be done. I just need you to do this one thing as I've laid out, execute it, no questions asked. We were running out of time. We got a deadline work up. We just need to buckle down and get it done. Then there are days where it's like, would love to hear what you have to say. There's a longer runway to execute. There's more room, there's more latitude, there's more resources. So every day is going to be different, but you can't just have one way of leading, one way of approaching an individual. You've got to really truly understand how you navigate through it. Every day is going to be different. You're never going to have the same day twice, ever.
Yes, you need a pattern, people. So, in what ways does mission clarity contribute to individual motivation and team effectiveness?
So, when you've got highly empowered people, individuals who are really driven, they want to give it their all, mission clarity is really important because everybody needs to have a purpose, right? And believe it or not, even the people that seem to be the least engaged, if they have a purpose at work, whether it is the overarching mission or it's just something small, something that they can grab and focus onto, they're going to do much better.
True. Definitely. They are truly empowered. So, Miss Brenda, what would be your advice for those people out there who want to make their mission successful?
Well, first off, you need to be very clear on what it is that you want to achieve. If you are not clear on that, and you don't step into that vision or that identity as a business, as a company, even as a leader, you're not going to get very far. And you're going to be miserable. Unfortunately, you're going to make everybody else miserable. So, like mission ready, having a high performing team doesn't necessarily mean that everybody on your team needs to be an Olympian, right? Employee. Doesn't need to be an Olympian employee, but they need to work very well together and
True.
they need to be very efficient and effective at what they do. So, here in the United States, we've got people that our schools evaluate us on a scale of A, B, C, D, and F, right? Your best and most consistent C player employee can help you achieve your mission so long as that they are that consistent. And we all need those individuals. We can't have a team of all A players.
True.
We just can't. If we do, we're going to have massive conflict all over the place. You need a combination of your A, B, and C players. And then you really need to evaluate your D and F players.
Well, Miss Brenda, thank you for your advice. Consistency, people, consistency. So, what will be your short term and long term goals in writing?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that again?
What will be your short term and long term goals in writing?
Oh, my short term and long term goals. Well, personally, I'm actually working on my next book. It is going to be called The Leadership Survival Kit. And it's going to be solely 100% focused in on dealing with very difficult people. And matter of fact, speaking of which, I actually have a free gift for your listeners tonight. So
Thank
as
you.
a thank you for coming on board. So there are times where we run up against some really difficult personalities, and sometimes we know what we want to say, but we don't always necessarily know how to properly convey it or convey what we want to say in a really strong way. So if you get stuck and you feel like you're going to choke, I actually have 3 scripts in my class called Impact Scripts, and they can go to my website at heybrenda.com. That's heybrenda.com, because I joke around that my phone is my Hey Brenda hotline. So I call it Hey Brenda. It's a lot easier than Neckvatal.
Yes,
And
true.
all you do is you go in, you put your name in, you put your email address in, and then, answer a question. And that's like, what's the one thing that you heard today that totally wowed you? And what it's going to do is going to introduce you to 4 scripts that you can use when you are facing your most difficult employees. As a matter of fact, I use these scripts all the time, whether I'm having, a conversation with a difficult person or I'm having a very productive conversation. They work both the same, and it will allow you to really navigate past the ego and get right into the heart of the conversation that you need. And I think the long-term goal that I have is to consistently evaluate with, generational changes, how we can be most effective together.
Good luck to your goals, Miss Brenda, and hoping for more and more empowering books like this. So, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please listen to my other podcast, Food 101, in its fifth season, people. Fifth season with Chef Alessandro, one of the specialty chef in one of the five-star hotel in downtown Toronto. Please do listen to our latest episode. We are reading our letter senders all over the world. So, Miss Brenda, what can business leaders learn from military leadership about effectively balancing rest and reward during mission critical decisions?
I think at the end of the day, you need to really know your people. And if there's anything that the military is fantastic at, especially within naval special warfare, is knowing the full capabilities of their team. And even on teams that I've worked with in the past, people knew who was great at doing what and who wasn't the best player. And even our meetings, like I've had the fortune of actually working with some pretty high performing teams. We've set company records, we've achieved awards internationally, nationally, like Fortune 500 awards, things like that. We've had some pretty fantastic success. And what happens is that when you have a high performing team, your teammates will start saying, hey, you know who'd actually be really good for this? It would be this person. And what can we do to help that person win? When you have a team that thinks like that, that's not by mistake. That's by cultivation, right? That's by really working on fine tuning all the gifts and the talents of everybody. And when team members are actually feeling that they have a contribution and they're recognized as having skill, having talent, and being able to produce and being able to contribute by the leadership, that's honestly, that rings a lot of bells for people inside. And so the military, like I said, especially in naval special war, they're actually pretty good at doing that. They take very good care of their people, and part of taking care of their people is by really understanding what their full capabilities are and putting them to use and deploying them.
Certainly, Miss Brenda Neckvatal, thank you so much for sharing your talents and books to the world. And we are hoping for more and more and more empowering books like this to come. So, can you please invite our listeners to support all your books?
Absolutely. Would love it if you guys would do that. You can find me over on Amazon.com. If you would like to check out more of what I've got, you can go to my website at heybrendaHotline.com. And there's a lot of other goodies over there too.
Definitely, people. Amazon best-selling author Miss Brenda Neckvatal. If please do support her, so that if you support her, more empowering books like this to come. So, Miss Brenda, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
More to come, people. See you soon.